So I would talk about the supporting causes first, okay? There's certain stuff that if you're doing it, you're more likely to see emptiness, all right? So there's a preparation. There's kind of the warm-up. Before you run the race, you do the stretches and you do the jogging around. And there are supporting activities that you can do that will prepare you to have this 20-minute experience, okay? There are other things you can do. Maybe one of the most important of them is serving other people, okay? One of the most important of them is serving other people. To soften your heart, to see emptiness directly, you must be serving other people, okay? Nothing like major. You are taking old people to the grocery store. You are visiting people who got sick. You are helping out people who are fixing the floor in their house. You are in the store and you let someone else go in front of you in the line. But your attitude in life is that you are serving other people and you are taking opportunities to help other people. You don't have to be a Mother Teresa. You don't have to organize an international refugee project. You just make it a way of life that in small ways you serve the elderly, you still serve the sick, you help children who are confused or ignored, and you make it a way of life to be kind. Okay, so kindness is a prerequisite to see emptiness directly. All right, plain old normal kindness to little people is a very high spiritual practice to see emptiness directly. Okay, that's one. Two, you have to be meditating on a regular basis. It's not possible to see this object unless you are in a deep state of meditation. If you cannot enter a deep state of meditation, you have disqualified yourself. You will never become the savior of this planet. It's not possible. Okay, so you must have a daily meditation practice. If you don't have one now, come to Mahasukha Center, they will give one to you. And they will grant you, they will supply you with a daily meditation practice. You must have it, or you cannot be of real benefit to other people. Okay? We think, I'm going to help others. I should be running around. I should be a big help to others. I should be running around more. But really, if you want to be a big help to others, you should sit down and meditate. Learn to sit down and meditate. You must be able to maintain about a 1-hour meditation. Strong, solid, unmoving, deep 1-hour meditation. What's the test of that degree of concentration? Somebody can bring a McDonald's French fry into the room and place it in front of your nose, and you don't smell it. Okay? Because you're so deep. And someone can slam a door, and you don't hear it. Okay? Really. Someone could touch your arm, and you don't feel it. You are so deep in the meditation that you're out of your senses. You see what I mean? You have, in yoga they call it pratyahara, right? You have withdrawn from the outer senses. So if you don't get near that level of meditation, you do not have a hope of seeing emptiness directly. It cannot happen. Okay? So you got to be kind to other people, and you have to reach that degree of meditation. Third thing, if you can find a teacher, okay? If you can find your heart teacher, all right? And everybody has a different heart teacher. You have to find the one that suits you. Heart teachers are like gloves, and you don't try to sell a size 8 glove to a size 6 hand. You have to search your world and your life for your heart teacher. And you must undertake this quest. Without your heart teacher, you can't do it. You need a heart teacher. You must find a heart teacher, okay? And they could be anybody, It could be your high school boyfriend. It could be your mother. It could be your son. It could be your dog. It could be a guy dressed up in a Tibetan red lama suit, But don't assume what they're going to look like. And, your heart teacher is the one you find who has that connection with you. And regardless of how other people see them, you see them as special. And you experience them as special, okay? And everybody can find a heart teacher. And what I'm telling you, find them at all costs, okay? Find them at all costs. I'll tell you what all costs means. I grew up in Phoenix, but we used to live in San Diego in the summer. And I surfed a lot. And my goal after college was to move to Del Mar, which had the best surf in California, and rent a room and surf all day, or most of the day, Like I had a plan after graduation, Like I would move to Del Mar and I would surf, And then I ended up studying in India and I met His Holiness. I had a long talk with His Holiness and I said, tell me what to do and I'll do it. First of all, I said, I want to stay with you forever. And then he said, you can't stay here. You have to go back to America. So I said, okay, well, tell me who's a good teacher in America, He said, Geshe Michael. He said, you go study with Geshe Michael. I said, where is he? He said, New Jersey. Then I was like, tell me Kentucky, tell me Iowa, but New Jersey, not New Jersey. I can't do any place but New Jersey. You know what they call New Jersey in New Jersey? They call it the armpit of the nation. And in my mind, in my heart, I was like, this is the ultimate test, Can I give up Del Mar for New Jersey? And I did, okay? I went to New Jersey, like the one place I hated the most in the world, because the teacher was there, okay? So in the quest for your heart teacher, it overrules all other considerations. You could even give up Del Mar for New Jersey. And I stayed in New Jersey for 25 years, okay? Lived with him. So I'm just saying you got to find a heart teacher. Then you have to serve that teacher, okay? You have to serve that teacher. I cooked for my Lama for 8 years. I drove his car. I bought his groceries. I washed his clothes. I did his Social Security. I built his house. I paid for his house and I built his house with my hands. And that's, you gotta, when you find your own heart teacher, then surrender to them and give them everything you have. The first day I met him, I brought him my bank book, with all my money. And I said, I made him momos, okay? Momos are Tibetan dumplings. I spent all day, I made him momos, And I came to the monastery, and I knew some little Tibetan from India. So I came to the monastery, I said, Nga Sangye Go, And then I said, here are momos for you, master. Please accept me as a student. And here's my bank book, and I'll need a place to sleep. Any place you say, I'll sleep, I said, these are my 4 requests to you. So he looks at me and he says, do you know what Nga Sangye Go means? I said, yes, it means I would like to study, become enlightened. And then he said, oh, I see. And then he said, what are these things? I said, they are Tibetan dumplings, and I have cooked them for you, And I worked all day on them, and they have, whole wheat and everything, And then he said, what's this thing? I said, that's my bank book. That's everything I have in the world. He threw it back at me. He just threw it at me. He said, I don't need your money, And he never charged me a penny my whole life. For 30 years, he taught me. He didn't charge me anything, right? Never took money from me. Then the last thing he said, what was the last thing? Oh, I said, I need a place to sleep. He said, I can't help you. I'll teach you, but that's your problem. And that was it, nothing. And then later he told me, the first 30 years later, he said, you came to me on the first day. You said, Nga Sangye Go. He said, do you know what you said to me on the first day? I said, I don't know. You said, I want Buddha. And then he said, do you remember the food you gave me? And I said, yeah, I worked all day on it. He says, I ate one bite and I took it out and threw it in the woods, And he used to make fun of me like that. So, You have to have a teacher to serve. It's not for the teacher, okay? He didn't need me. People gave him houses and he just refused. He didn't need anything. He didn't need me, for sure. But you have to give yourself away to the teacher, okay? And I'm not talking culty, and I'm not talking like that. Then the last thing you need is to study. You know, obviously the teacher should be qualified. And they should be able to teach you what you need to know. And you must find a teacher like that. Okay? They must be able to teach you what you need to know. And you must undertake study with them. You know, this is, you must try to understand emptiness in an intellectual way, over and over again. There's a joke in Tibet, you have to hear the pen thing 3,000 times. So some of my students are up to 2,800 or something. You must hear the pen thing over and over again, okay? Under the influence of those conditions, kindness towards others, plain old normal kindness, and under the conditions of learning to meditate, and under the conditions of finding your heart teacher, and under the condition of proper and authentic study, then you will have an experience of emptiness. So now we want to talk about, in Tibetan it's called Jorlam Chichok. These are the final moments, the final few hours before you see emptiness. What happens? You know, what's the process? What goes on in the final few hours? For this, you have to know Chi Chedak, okay? Say Chi Chedak. Chi Chedak. Chi Chedak is a special subject, okay, of Buddhism. It's buried in a subject called pramana. Pramana is the study of how a human being thinks and how we see things, okay? Sometimes they call it the study of logic, but it's more than logic. It's the study of how do you perceive a thing? How do you see a thing as a thing? What goes on in your mind when you see a thing as a thing? And Jetson Kapa's disciple, Jetson Kapa had a disciple named Kerupje. He wrote a book, it's course 13. Everybody hates course 13. That's why it's 13. And course 13 is syllogisms. How do you prove something? How to think in the mind, right? And why do you see something when you look at something? Why do you recognize that thing? What goes on in your mind when you make a decision or when you see something? Okay, that study is called pramana. Pramana was a subject that became very popular around 650 AD, 7th century in India. Somebody named Master Dharmakirti wrote a long, boring book, 7 long, boring books, short, boring books. And then he explained how you see things, how you experience stuff, what happens when you see something. He taught that. That's considered a lower school of Buddhism. Those of you who are studying Buddhism, the first school is like Abhidharma. Okay? The second school is called the Sutras, the Sutra school, Sautrantika, right? And then the third school is mind only, and the fourth school is middle way. Middle way teaches emptiness in a very sexy way. Mind only teaches emptiness in a pretty sexy way. Abhidharma teaches emptiness in a very basic way. And the second school teaches emptiness in a sort of dry way. Okay? And so people avoid that book, and I haven't taught it much. You know, I was trained in it for many, many years. And I worked hard on it. And I've only taught it a little bit. And nowadays I only teach it to 1 or 2 people who seem to be ready, okay? It's dry, it's hard, it's difficult. But deep inside that school is a subject called Chichedak. And Kedubje said, if you think, when I was taught that subject, my Lama said to me, this is the key to the middle way. This is the key to seeing emptiness. You understand this, and you can see emptiness, okay? You understand school number 2, you can understand school number 4. And if you don't, you can't.